Our movie begins with Dr. Clive and Dr. Elsa, geniuses in the field of genetics, who are incredibly successful in it and are able to clone an organism made up of all the genes of animals and combine them into one organism whose goal is to serve animals. They manage to extract from this organism a quantity of medical proteins that benefit animals. They present their experiment to the board of directors of the company that is funding them so that they can conduct their experiment on human DNA and thus be able to treat all human and genetic diseases. But after presenting their experiment, the board refuses to conduct experiments on any human DNA because it will expose them to many problems. They decide to close their laboratory and be satisfied with the proteins extracted from the cloned organism. As soon as Clive and Elsa leave the company, they decide that they will conduct their experiment on secret human DNA, and without anyone knowing, just to make sure that the experiment can succeed. They use the DNA of an unknown person, and after many attempts, they succeed in planting human day in an animal gene, and that it can be cloned. Cliff keeps it in a refrigerator so he can keep it for later when they need it, but Alice is greedy and wants to make sure that the creature can form in the egg naturally. So she takes the refrigerator from Cliff and locks herself in her lab and plants the gene in an artificial egg and puts it in an incubator. She listens to how it enters the lab, and they say that they will let the fetus form and make sure that it is viable for birth, and then get rid of it. Clive agrees to her plan because of his curiosity to see if their experiment will succeed or not. They continue to follow the fetus until it grows, and the time comes for the fetus to come out of its artificial egg. And Alice tries to get it out with her hand, but her hand is pulled into the incubator, and they read the creature in her hand, and her body spasms, and Clive is able to treat her, and they do not understand what happened to the creature, and it looks strange in front of them, and they decide to get rid of it, and Clive goes to get a box to throw it in, and she stares at the creature until she discovers that it is hollow, and that what is in front of her is not the creature, but rather its egg. And suddenly she feels the sound of something moving behind her. And suddenly, a strange-looking creature appears in front of her and keeps moving around her, and Clive kills him with the gas, and before he activates it, he finds NQL, who took off the mask, and she grows up to wait until she sees what kind of creature this is and approaches it to touch it. But Clive enters and leaves the room she is in happily and tells her that her curiosity will get her killed, and she activates sleeping gas on the creature so that she can study it well, and they do X-rays and they are unable to identify half of its body parts, and there are parts unknown to them, and Clive tells him that this creature is growing at a terrifying speed, and that minutes for us are days for it, and that they can complete its entire life cycle in a short time, and then it will die on its own. But the most important thing, they are sure that this creature is an ugly female, and they hide it from the rest of their colleagues by putting her in a room separate from the rest of the lab and continuing research on her, and they try in every way to eat her, but she refuses to eat anything until the gum falls from her, and the creature enters the gum, and it appears that she loves to eat any sweets, and they mix food with sugar, and the creature eats a lot, and they continue to take care of her, and after a month she grows like a small child and gathers parts of her body like hands, and her intelligence level increases despite her small size, and Sasa repeatedly calls this creature Dren, and her attachment to her increases, and Sasa makes the mistake of allowing Dean to go out of her room, and with her comes Dren, Clive's brother, and their colleague Gave, and it hurts them to hide Dren in the lab's storeroom that no one enters, and Clive goes to talk to his brother and tries to explain to him that he is trying to save humanity with this experiment if he succeeds, and that he will cure all diseases if it succeeds. But his brother tells him that all he did was carry out Elsa's orders and nothing more, because he loves her and cannot refuse her request, but he will pay the price for his actions soon if he does not pay attention. Dren stays in the warehouse, but she gets tired and her body temperature increases dangerously. They try to put her in a pool of ice water to reduce her temperature. Cliff thinks about getting rid of her by drowning her, But after she stops breathing completely under the water, he finds that she breathed like a fish. Cliff tells Elsa that the devices that were not understood in her body are aquatic lung, and Dren can breathe in the water and on land. She asks Elsa if he did what he did because he was sure that Dren would live under the water. He tells her, of course, that he was sure, but in reality he was trying to get rid of her, kill her, and pass the time while she was with them. They hide it in the warehouse as much as they can, and it becomes clear to Dren that she has grown in appearance, and Elsa and Cliff seem to live in the warehouse, and a relationship develops between them, and Dren sees them, and the next day comes and Cliff and Elsa have a meeting to present their animal creature that has become their laboratory's board of directors. And there are two of them together in one glass box, but during the meeting the two creatures fight and kill each other, and the board of directors tries to understand the reason for what happened, and Elsa tells them that after studying the remains, they discovered that the reason was hormonal changes in the two creatures, and that their gender changed from female to male, so they attacked each other, and they do not know how this happened, or how the creature that was female became male so quickly. But this is the truth of the clash that happened between them, and they swallow the board of directors that their experiment is over, and Clive and Elsa face another problem, which is moving Dren from the warehouse before she is discovered in the place, and she hits Elsa. Dren is transferred to her abandoned farm, because it is the only place she owns, and is transferred to the farm, and as soon as they arrive, Dren runs away from them in the forest, and they go looking for her until they find her eating a rabbit after she killed it, and her appetite turned from sugar to raw meat, and they return again to the farm, and she goes for a while without eating, because what is offered to her is vegetables, and because she started to hate the place because she is trapped in it, and she started acting aggressively towards them and breaking everything around her until she breaks the window in the ceiling and runs away from it, and remains standing on the ceiling, and they try to get up to her to get her down before she falls, but her balance changes, and as she falls, wings appear, and she is able to save herself with them, and she is ready to fly with them. But Cliff tells her that he is afraid for her, and that they need her, and she asks Dren to bring her and puts the wings inside her body again, and returns to the farm, and the laboratory is transferred. Cliff and Elsa go to a smaller place, and are more watched by the board of directors, and Elsa starts to miss a lot of work because she prefers to take care of Dren and take care of her, and learns how to put on makeup like any girl, and finds in Dren's drawer that there are many drawings of Cliff only, and Elsa hears the sound of a cat coming from Dren's room and finds out that she is raising a cat. But Elsa refuses to raise animals because she's afraid that Dren will get sick from them, and stays away from her and leaves Dren crying because her cat was taken from her, and Elsa goes to sleep in her house for a while, and Cliff comes home from work and finds Elsa sleeping and not breastfeeding. He wakes her up and goes down to check on Dren, and Pele is crying and upset, so he tells her that he will make it easier for her a little and plays songs on the farm, and Cliff starts dancing and teaches Dren to dance with him, and she is extremely happy until he feels that Dren has become like Elsa, so he decides to go out to Elsa and leave Dren alone. The next day, after Elsa wakes up, Cliff tells her that the DNA they used on Dren was her DNA, and that she wrote on it. However, she said that the DNA belonged to an unknown person, and that what she did was crazy, and that she couldn't deceive him that way. He leaves and walks away. Charles goes to Dren's farm and gives her her cat as an apology. Dren looks very strange and evil and uses her tail to kill the cat in front of Elsa. She hits Elsa with a pen, which makes him angry and makes her attack her. She takes the key to the farm door from her and goes to open the door. Before she goes out, Elle hits her on the head and sings to Dren. Dren wakes up, tied up, and Elsa is preparing her to remove the poison gland from her and the tail that she used to kill the cat. Cliff arrives after Elsa has finished her operation and completely cut off Dren's tail, so he makes light of what happened to Dren and takes the sample to do research on it in her lab and leaves Cliff alone at the farm. Cliff drinks alcohol until he gets drunk and goes down to check on Dren at the farm. Because he is drunk, and at the same time Dren is made of the same DNA as Elsa, Cliff imagines that he sees Elsa in front of him and a relationship occurs between them, as Dren wanted, until Elsa enters and sees him together and runs to her car to get away from the place. Cliff returns to his old apartment again after failing to find Elsa anywhere, but he finds her inside the apartment. They talk about how they both made a mistake when they did the experiment from the beginning, and Elsa was wrong to use her DNA, and Cliff was wrong because he couldn't tell right from wrong. Elsa tells him that what they wanted happened, which is for them to get a protein. Thabit took the sample from her tail and handed it over to her manager in the lab. They decide that they must fix what they messed up and eliminate Dren completely. They go to the farm together and keep looking for Dren, but they find her passed out in a pool of water. They feel bad for her, so they separate her side hoping that she will get better. But she dies. They decide to bury her in the farm ground and then burn everything that belonged to him that was there. At the same time, they find that their manager in the lab and Gav are coming to the farm. This is because the lab found human DNA in the sample that she provided, and Gav confirmed that they did something that they were hiding from him. He tells him that the experiment died and they buried her. But while they are talking, they hear a very loud sound, and Bella finds Dren flying above them and kidnapping her manager, killing her and throwing her on a tree. Bella finds her standing on the roof of the farm, and she looks more like a light bulb and closer. The creature is in the form of a male, not a female, and prefers to fly around them in the dark and snatches Gav from their midst. Cliff keeps looking for his brother, hoping to find him alive, but Elsa tells him that what happened to the animal creature in the meeting also happened to Dean, and every male present threatens her, so she finishes them off. While they are talking, Cliff's flashlight falls into the lake next to him. He tries to get it back to sea with it, but it is dragged into the water. Elsa keeps screaming and trying to save it until she is able to get it out of the lake. Ran comes out of the lake, and it becomes clear that her gender has actually changed from female to male. He begins to chase Elsa, and she tries to escape from him through the trees until he attacks her and says for the first time that he wants to be inside her. Cliff comes from behind them and hits the creature with a piece of wood in his body, but the creature is able to get the wood out of his body and continues attacking Cliff, trying to kill him until Elsa brings a large rock. And before the creature's brain is broken, the creature bites Cliff, its replacement, which has poison in it, and kills Cliff, who dies as well, and Sissa is the only one who lived because of his experiment. As Sissa's revenge on herself, she turns herself into a testing ground under the hands of her company's board of directors, and she signs a contract with them that she is at their disposal. After she signs the contract, she stands up, and it turns out that she is pregnant from the creature that was Dren, and then it turns into a male, and she surrendered herself and her fetus to an unknown identity to the company because she is the reason for everything that happened. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Movie Story for more amazing movie recaps. Let us know in the comments which movie you'd like us to cover next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.